Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedikt and I'm feeling productive.
And I'm Benedicte. Today is October 28th. This is episode number 231 and I'm tired.
Ooh, what's going on? Did you party too hard or are you getting sick?
You know, I might have. We went to wine tasting on Thursday and then a family dinner with also quite some wine on Sunday. So it might be.
Still the
partying
hangover.
too hard
2 days.
when you're
2 days after.
40 plus.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Be.
It could be. But I kind of proud of myself because I felt like I was trying to code. It just the brain wasn't working. I wasn't feeling it. And I was like, okay, I'm actually tired. And I took some hours off before this podcast where I just laid on the couch and watched some television and didn't feel bad about it.
That's good.
Because that's the perks of this life, right? We need to enjoy or, take the perks. So.
Yep. Actually, be flexible with the flexible time you have, right?
I mean, that is one of the flexibility. I guess is the only major perk, and it's a huge one.
The self-fulfillment and like the freedom of not having a boss and
the what?
Well, for you, I guess you have a boss.
Yes. And then also I have to charge because you might not live this as thoroughly as we do, but on Friday it's Halloween. And
right. Yeah. Now that you mention it, that makes sense.
And the kids these days are all into Halloween, and I get it. It is a fun holiday. It's a candy-filled holiday. And in the beginning, I was like, I'm not doing it. And now we're doing it. So we are making a graveyard. When we were closing the cabin in Sweden, we got cheap candy. And we even bought candy for 2 of the neighbors. The guy who was ringing this bill off was just laughing. There's so much candy. I'll see if I can post a photo and people can see. We look like crazy Norwegians, which we are. We're buying cheap Swedish candy, which is actually German. It was Haribo and some other
nice.
So yeah,
very nice.
So we're all we're ready for it. And this year I'm also doing Halloweeno, so I'm having some friends come over and drink wine with me while we hand out candy.
That sounds like fun. Yeah. I tend to forget about Halloween, and then it's there and I'm completely unprepared. And usually we have kids going around as well, but apparently there's a rule. I think I might have mentioned this last year. There's apparently a rule that you have to put a candle outside in front of your door if you're participating. So if you don't do that, you're usually safe. But we're traveling on Friday anyway, so we might just be leaving when everyone's going around trying to get candy.
Yeah. But you were productive, and I've seen you've been productive with your video challenge.
Yeah. Before we get into the video challenge, I probably need to talk about the other stuff we've been productive on. We have been publishing stuff that we have built over the last, I want to say months, but it's probably also some of it is years old that was always in this half-baked state and not really ready to be launched. So one of the tasks we set ourselves for the last quarter of the year is just polishing some of those, or most of them even. I think there are 1 or 2 things we decided to not launch, but everything else we're polishing and then enabling, removing the feature flags for it, and then announcing it. So in the last 2 weeks since the last recording, we launched array filtering. So you can now build. You've always been able to send array data into Userlist for a list of integrations so customers enabled, or the list of feature flags enabled and stuff like that. And you could use them in emails to just iterate over them, but you were never able to build segments on them or any sorts of filters or any conditions in workflows even. And a couple of weeks ago, we had a customer request this, and we went back and forth, and it turned out array filtering was the only proper solution. So we sat down and built it, and it has been sitting there. And honestly, I'm not even sure that particular customer actually got around to changing their setup to use it. But yeah, I guess that's it. Like, we decided to enable it, we announced it, and immediately got some more customers using it. And they had feedback, so we already built improvements and stuff like that. So that was exciting. And then last week, the other thing we launched was recurring triggers, which we already built half a year ago or something like that. And it was also just sitting there, not enabled for most people.
Yeah, because this was funny because we had that feature request come into Outseta, and we were like, we should probably build something like that. And we were like, because everybody else has it. And somebody wrote in the Slack, and I was like, I don't think so. I remember like Userlist launching it this year, and ConvertKit still doesn't have it, as far as I know. So I was like, yeah. And then I went on LinkedIn, and you were announcing it that day. So it's like, I was pretty like, didn't they launch that like
we built
6
this,
months
as I
ago?
said, like, we built this months ago,
Because we
but we
were
never got
talking
around
about it,
to
and I was
launching
like,
it.
well, that is super cool that you're just like polishing and getting stuff out, like,
Yeah, we
shipping.
were just like looking at the backlog of like half baked, half finished stuff, and decided to just like, it just needs to go, right? Like, we just put check marks on it and just publish it. The other thing we also enabled for everyone, and this has literally been around for years, we have theming support built in. Like, I don't like it. Like, I actually hate it because it's pretty bad. But you can select between a few custom built-in themes, and then you can also just write your own HTML and use that. So we also enabled that because basically we enabled it for everyone who asked for it anyways. And while we're right now reworking all of the theming things, I figured we already have to figure out migration strategies for the people that are on the old stuff anyway. So we can just enable it for everyone, and then doesn't really change anything other than we're checking another box for people who are just checking us out. But anyways, those are the things we launched, among other
But
things.
with the array filter, because you mentioned it, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. But still, I was like, like arrays, like tags in an array. But then I looked, I think it was on your video or like the announcement thing, and you actually do like arrays of objects, and you can trigger based on things
Yep.
inside of the objects in the array. And then I was like, oh, mind blown. That's super cool. Because when I was like, arrays, you mean like category, like tags, like that?
Yeah.
But
It is pretty advanced, and you can even do arrays of arrays. I still have no idea what a use case for this might be, but the implementation supports it. Because we were like, if we built this, we just build it so it works in all combinations, I guess. And
it looks super slick. I haven't like been into your product, but I saw the announcement, like little GIF or
I still
thing.
need to do a video about this, but this is probably the video for this week, I guess. But yeah, like, talking about the videos, I'm currently in the lead with 3 videos, and Jane has not recorded a video yet. But still, like, I need to do at least 10 until the end of the quarter. So basically every week I need to at least publish 1 video. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if she just tricked me into recording videos without having the intention of recording videos
Good
herself.
one, Jane. Good one.
Who knows? Like, maybe that was just an elaborate mind trick on me to convince me to record stuff.
That's good leadership.
But so far, I enjoy it. Like, we're just using Screen Studio, or like, I'm just using Screen Studio for this, and that makes it super quick and easy to just record the screen, and then you get those zooms and stuff like that. And you can edit it relatively easy and cut it, and it's just the right amount of like the right level between like just recording something, but also having just enough ability to edit. And it does transcripts as well, AI generated transcripts. So you can also just edit and embed, and the zooms and video embedding and stuff like that of your camera. I really enjoy it. And I was worried that this would all take a lot of time, but usually I can bang one out in an hour or so. with all the practice takes and preparing and stuff like that. So they might not be the most polished ones, but I think they are okay enough to put out there. Right
Have
now,
you
we
published them
record.
as well, or have
Yeah,
you just
like
started having like a bank of them?
we started. So I recorded three, as I said. Like one is about using our API, just the basics of it, like how you send data over, and how it then shows up inside the application, and that it does upserts and stuff like that. So just like pointed out the fact that you don't have to care about anything that's already in there. Just send new stuff, and we'll figure it out. We embedded that on our. I think it's in the Getting Started guide where it talks about how to get data into Userlist. It's just in there on the website. And the one on recurring triggers was a little bit of a longer one. I think it was like 5 minutes or so. We embedded that in the announcement email. And it's also in the docs in the section about triggers. There's now the video embedded in there. And then earlier this week, well, yesterday, I recorded another one about recurring triggers. That's just super short and the other ones were landscape and this one was square, so we could post them on LinkedIn and social media because landscape is kind of like if you're on the phone you can't read anything on the landscape thing anyways. So tried that, made a super short one, I think it's 30 seconds or so, and posted that on socials yesterday. I was hoping for a little bit of more like engagement, like people liking it more or something like that, but not the case. But whatever. I think this is you just need to keep going, I guess, and not get discouraged by this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the current state of the video challenge.
So I'm joining the video challenge, even though you
Woohoo!
haven't invited me.
You are free to join the challenge.
Anyone
Yep.
can join the challenge. Let us know. So for Outseta, I've been very focused on Framer. We needed an upgrade to the Framer plugin that I made, I guess, like a year and a half ago at this point.
It's been a while.
But it's been a while. We don't really have that good tracking of what accounts are using what technology. So sometimes it can feel a little discouraging, at least for me, to be like, okay, I'm going to upgrade this plugin. Like, are anyone even using Framer? And other than like what I get through support, but like it's hard to gauge what people are using just from support because there are a lot of people who just never contact support and just get shit done on their own, and those are actually better customers, right? We love that kind of a customer.
Right.
So I just had like a brief energy spurt, I guess, before the last week, and I downloaded all of or I went through all of the signups for the last 30 days that were still active, because then I can actually figure out what tech they are. And I looked at what tech stacks they were using, and it's quite like varied. Or we have like a long tail, I guess, with like a lot of one, like only one. We have like, I think we had like one on card, and we have a couple on Wix, which is not always great. But most of our customers are Webflow, so it's quite it's kind of like quite a lot. It's a long jump to the next one,
Right.
but the next one is Framer, and that is the double of what we have on Squarespace and on kind of React, like self-coded React or white-coded React mostly these days. So I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like we do have quite a lot of interest, and I find it fascinating because Webflow is our bread and butter, I guess, and we have been in that space for a long time, and Webflow is super large. So having Framer, which is still relatively a newcomer, kind of compete up there with Webflow was interesting. Like they're really coming in hot, and so that was like, okay, got that little motivation I needed that there will be people seeing and using this, and and not just like making something for like a ghost town of Framer, Framer people. So that was kind of cool. So I'm working on the new update for our Framers, just like a little bit of bugs, a little bit of paper cuts, like just making it easier and getting better error messages for the people using the plugin. I saw some errors where people have like their accounts have expired, and then they try to use the plugin again with their Outseta domain, and like giving them proper error messages instead of just like there is an error I could be like, oh, it's expired. You'll need to, pay your bills if you want to keep this going, or, give them better. So that's like that kind of work mostly. And then a couple of weeks back, I did a lot of work on Framer overrides, which I've probably said a million times now, but those are higher order React components that can go around anything on the framework canvas. So what we use them for is to hide and show things based on properties on the logged in user. So I made I had the bare minimum already that you can copy paste from the plugin, but now there's like a true library of stuff you can use. And this is where the Framer kind of story falls a little short. Like, I really love their concept that you can like draw anything basically on the canvas, and then you select the code override, and it's like a logical component that can do anything. But still, you have to copy paste code into file, like these asset files. And now a Framer plugin can create an asset file. So that's what I'm going to look at to like put our things in there. But it's still a tiny, like you say, oh, I want to add an override. And then there's a tiny drop down that now has like 60, overrides that you can choose from. So I'm conflicted between putting them in separate files or putting them in one file. What is easiest for the user. So now I've tried both. I have one that is super large, and I kind of preface them with a module and an underscore, so that all of the auth stuff are together and all of the kind of user data is together. But it's still not like crystallized in the Framer community how to best like do these, name these, and how to best update them. So usually a Framer override is just like you copy code into this file asset. And then if you're going to update, you copy paste new code into this file asset.
Obviously.
But what I've done, at least with my Framer override, is that most of the logic is in a ESM module that is living on a URL. So I can change the logic in there and bug fix in there, but they will still have to go to the override and update the version number for like the main logic. And I found some like really interesting things where Framer caches the imports, obviously, because they can't import it every time. That makes sense, but no one knows how long. It's like, I have them so that, okay, so 07 should, choose the latest patch version. So you don't have to be like 07.1. But I have never seen it actually update while I'm working. So I'm like, is this like 5 months, 6 months, a year? Will it ever update if we don't change the URL? And sometimes it just gets stuck when I'm developing. So these are like the rough edges of Framer, but I still think they're like on the right track. They just, there needs to be something around distribution, and hopefully we could just use node modules straight in npm modules, packages. I mean, straight in these files, but we can't. So you have to like package it all up together if you're going to use Systend, which is what I'm using for like state management. But it's interesting, and it's like a fun little new frontier where I get to learn about distributing code in ways I've never distributed code before, and trying to communicate how people who have no idea what they're doing when they're copy pasting into these files, what they need to update. So it's going to be an interesting future, or keeping this maintained and working for everyone.
Sounds also like this might be a little bit in flux still, and even stuff in Framer might fundamentally change. So you need to be on top of things. It's it's both exciting and tricky for like early in those, I want to say, marketplaces, or like early on those platforms.
Yes, and that's why I kind of had to go in and like count like how many people are coming from Framer, because at least for me now, the case, like I feel like the case is clear. Like if we can be a preferred vendor in the Framer space, we can get the same kind of hopefully the same kind of numbers that we're getting in Webflow. And it looks like Framer is growing and growing, and it's kind of worth spending the time learning Framer. Like, I've had to learn Framer. I don't sit in Framer every day and build websites for my clients, which, other like React, I've actually done that as a consultant. Like, I know, but luckily I can use my React knowledge, but I still, so I'm also lurking a lot in like the communities and trying to answer questions to kind of get to know, like, where are the pain points, like where is the community finding best practices or ways of doing things, so we don't like kind of break with the common way of like the evolved or like organically evolved way of doing things, even though I think maybe there's a smarter way of doing it the React way. It's like, but it's still, if you're a non-dev that have used a couple of components from some providers, or you've done, and then suddenly we just do it in a completely different way because we're like smarter or more devy, that's not going to be helpful. So I'm trying to, I'm like, yes, I'm being like a little Framer spy. I'm like in the communities, trying to learn and understand, but that takes time. Like, it's not something that just takes like a 10-minute here and there to kind of understand the whole community. It's like a product in itself, right? These plugins and these overrides. So, but in all of this, like, I think I had a really great idea for marketing of the Framer Outseta combo, and that is making tiny little SaaSes in Framer. So like showcasing, because there's a lot of people doing educational content around design and kind of basic setting up of the sites. But if we could do some remixable projects that have a backend and some proper React code and Outseta as the authentication, and don't like, the design has to be like nice enough because these people are very interested in design, but it could be like a tiny little, it could just be like one page with like one feature. So I've been looking at something like, it could be like a habit tracker or just a countdown timer, or something like super small, but that shows authentication through Outseta, and then you put something in a backend and you get to see whatever you have from your backend. So I think that could be like a fun way, and also utilize some of the skills that I already have. Then I can live code and do all the things that I've done before and kind of just roll the playbook again. So it finally all clicked in my head, and maybe that's what made me tired. Let's just do it all again.
Yeah, maybe that just made you tired. Yeah, I can totally see that. And on top of that, you want to join the video challenge, so kudos.
Well, so yeah, because that was a segue into this. I thought like my video challenge, but I will be like I'm gonna make the shortest shorts about Framer and Outseta. That is like my niche for this challenge, and I'm gonna be recording my screen with my phone and point to things with my finger and being like super cringe, but also very modern.
Very real.
Yes, and trendy and cringe. So that is so that's like what I wanted to do for the challenge. And hopefully,
cool. I'm looking forward to see the first video. I ever since you mentioned like recording the screen with your phone, I was like, I couldn't get myself to do it.
I even sent you an inspirational one, like
I know
video on LinkedIn that I saw. I was like,
this cannot do this because I know that screen recording software exists. Like I cannot. And when I told this to the team, like Jane was also like, "Why would you do that?" So yeah, we're so far we're sticking with screen recording software, but let's see. Maybe if we don't get any engagement of any of my social media video posts that I will be doing over the next couple of weeks, maybe it's time to reconsider the approach.
And I think like you wouldn't put this in your documentation.
Nah, probably not.
It like there's different genres of video.
For sure.
And sometimes you can use what you use in your documentation on your YouTube, like if people are really interested and they're looking for that information. But I don't think a screencast as like as you said, like as a landscape on like Google Shorts. Nobody's gonna watch that as a short.
Yes.
So, but I want to play with shorts, so that's why I'm gonna go with this
Makes sense.
pointy, shaky, raw, cringe style. We'll see how it goes.
Yep. Cool. Well, you're officially entered into the challenge. It goes until end of December, I guess. So let's see.
I know what I'll be doing in my Christmas vacation.
20 videos in 4 days.
Oh, yes. That is exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, no.
Because I am a deadline kind of person.
Yeah, well, then I guess I will be losing this challenge. But my approach to this is like consistency. Just do at least one per week, and then I should be good.
You mean slow and steady?
Slow and steady. Yeah, exactly.
But I was gonna say, if anybody has an idea for like a mini SaaS, like a one feature SaaS that I could make, I would love to hear ideas. And yeah, for what could be fun to make. And that you would
To-do
find.
list comes as example, like but the most basic example.
I'll
right?
try to make to-do lists, and my mind just like suddenly goes to project management, and I end up doing too much.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Like I can't stop it on just a to-do list, but maybe I should make that as like a proper. So I want something that's like more nonsensical, or just like it could just be something that's not useful at all, but that showcases the exact same functionality you would need in something more proper.
But the thing is, like, if it's something nonsensical, will people actually look for it?
So what I will do is that it will be, I guess it will be like these remixable. So Framer has this thing where you can make a project remixable, so they can like copy the whole thing with code and everything over to their project. So I think like if it's just like nonsensical, but if it's like adding data and showing data, and because these are, it's not like we don't need to showcase like complex functionality. We just, because a lot of the people are going to be super new to development. And maybe they won't bridge it over to being like, oh, this is a joke generator. It could be a social media post generator.
Yeah, like I guess it needs to be something where they look at the list or whatever, or like actually search for stuff that would actually be like, this is what I need. I'm not sure that. Yeah, I mean, sure, if they're flexible enough, they can adapt a joke generator to whatever the tip of the day generator. But yeah, I don't know. Just trying to say, like, maybe make them more useful than just gimmicky.
Yeah, so this was like a little on the side, like I wanted to do for fun and be able to be a little creative around videos and stuff. But we're gonna make a course template, which is
obviously
with bookmark functionality and lesson completed functionality, and we have that in Webflow. Right. So we'll definitely be making or contracting some Framer designers to just make like straight up templates that people need. And then my like little mini SaaS thing would be more on the like experimental side, like how far can you push Framer? Can you actually make a full app, and not just like, you know, more of a content heavy site? So we'd be more to like look at these things, like where would we host the code? Like how do we want to? Is it better to put the code in the, you know, in the file editor that they have? Because then if somebody remixes this, they can see the whole code, but also you can't use any of the NPM modules in there or packages in there. Then you would have to package it up. So there's like different things you could talk through and kind of even be honest about, like, this is kind of where it breaks a little bit for Framer, but we see that there's, at least I can like imagine a future where Framer has this down like really well, where you can have designers go in and design kind of a whole app design, and then you add the logic in there in some smart way that the smart people in Framer are gonna evolve their offering into. And I think it's an interesting kind of proper separation of design and code in a way that I can see actually working. I don't know. I have like, because it's not there, but I can feel like
there's potential. You're seeing the potential. Yeah.
Like they're onto something. And I hope they manage with all of their VC funding to figure it out
Yep. Yeah. That would be awesome.
before they run out of VC funding.
Obviously. Or they get new VC funding, I guess.
Yeah.
Talking about VC funding, our postdoc integration got merged into the postdoc repository.
Why?
And why? I don't know. I guess they're pretty on top of actually reviewing the pull requests they get, which is surprising to me because they get 1 million pull requests a day. At least it feels like that. I think I opened mine on Friday, and by Monday it was on page 2 or 3 on GitHub. But they actually get to it and review it. And what was funny was that in the comment, like the guy who reviewed it in the comments mentioned that he was listening to our previous episode where I've been ranting about post hoc. So I was like, oh
bad?
no. Obviously, I did feel bad because like you record these, but you never think about people actually listening to them, right? And honestly, I don't know how they found it. I think they're probably just doing a very good job at monitoring mentions across podcasts. Even
they're probably, customers of Arvin's new startup.
Arvids, yeah. I was thinking about I think it's called Podscan. I was thinking about that as well. I was like, are they using that to discover this, or are they just like? Because I cannot imagine anyone on their team being a regular listener. But maybe I'm wrong. Like, if you are a regular listener, let us know.
But also, I think, like, yes, you felt bad, but I also think the stage that they're at, where they're on like series something, they got a ton of money, they got like a lot of end users loving them. They're on like riding a high. I'm not saying like you should like dunk on people because they're doing well, but I also think when you're in that, like, I think they feel pretty good about their product. It's and then getting kind of real unfiltered developer feedback, it's hard to get.
Yeah, I don't.
So like they could have done a user test, like ask you to like try to do this and like watch you. But I think it's hard to find developers when they're at that stage. Like if you're making integrations, like you're just doing it, like you're not that interested in or you would have just given up and you would never have told them. So in a way, like, and you weren't like mean, you were just like frustrated and getting like that frustration and a little bit unfiltered. I think that is helpful because maybe somebody internally has been saying we need to make the integration story better, and then they're like, well, they manage, and like now they have, I know, a 30-second audio transcript.
Yeah, like one thing they mentioned in that as well is like they have. It was something like we kind of agreed that this is too complicated, and they have a plan of where they want to take this. But I mean, obviously, like they probably have a ton of stuff to work on, and they will get there eventually. But I guess with like 1 million balls in the air, you just have to prioritize what you're working on. So I think it will be getting easier in the future, and I'm actually looking forward to maybe maybe we'll probably adjust our integration at some point when they move towards a more like, I don't know what to say, like a more focused way of like actually allowing people to build integrations, because it sounded a little bit like it wasn't supposed to happen like this. Like I think it's
started.
not. Yeah, we just like they started, they laid some of the groundwork, and then I just swooped in and was like, I just like, well, I will do it in here, and I don't think they were anticipating that at this point. But again, I'm super happy that it got merged. It's already live on postdoc.com in the hosted version, so you can already use it. We have not announced it on the user list side of things, but it's on that list of like mini launches that we'll be doing over the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be published soon. But yeah, it's just super happy that, because honestly, I did not expect anyone to review this ever.
I was thinking like maybe the review came because they did pick up on your
Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe they just like have a good process around this because they get a ton of these. Anyway, so that's the postdoc story, and yeah, the other interesting thing we started working on that I want to touch on quickly is we are currently working on our message editor, which is like right now it's a WYSIWYG editor, but it's not quite WYSIWYG. Like you're getting some sort of formatting, but the finally rendered email will always depend a little bit on the styling you choose and the theme you choose and what your custom CSS and stuff like this are. And we've been starting a project to actually render our message editor in an iframe to then be able to load all of the CSS and all of the HTML around it and actually have it look like the email you're sending out, or at least a lot closer than what we have right now. And it's been an interesting journey. We started out doing this via Shadow DOM initially, which also, I mean, stepping back a little bit, like I think we first attempted this like 2 years ago or something like that, and then there were some problems with the Shadow DOM implementation inconsistencies between browsers, which have since been resolved. And we got it working with the Shadow DOM stuff in place, and it was actually pretty solid. Like I enjoyed the implementation. But then the thing that we hadn't thought about was we are basically loading entire pages into the thing, right? With an HTML and a body tag, because that's what the email is in the end. And turns out if you do that in the Shadow DOM, that's not actually, that doesn't work. So we had to throw away all of it and use an iframe for this. And now we're in the process of like rebuilding this again. But just earlier today, Leo and I were like just reviewing his progress, and we have a fully working WYSIWYG editor within the iframe now. And it took a little bit of like heavy lifting on some of the components that we didn't really think about. For example, initially we were struggling with when you in our editor, when you select text, we get a nice floating toolbar with like bold and italics and stuff like that. And that would show up, but like in completely the wrong position. And it took us a while to figure out what was going on. And in the end, it was like the positioning you get from the selection is relative to the iframe root, but we're rendering outside, so we have to move stuff around and stuff like that. So yeah, took a while, but it's looking good.
Math.
We had to do some math. We had to do some like a lot of wrapping brains around because then you're working with two document structures basically, and you're trying to figure out like which is the correct window even, right? And we ended up doing some crazy stuff of like replaying events, like for example some key events within the iframe we capture, and then we build new ones based on what key you're pressing, and then replaying them outside of the iframe because they don't cross the boundary by themselves, right? So yeah, it's a little bit crazy, but I think I think we figured out all the problems, and Leo at this very moment probably is working on a cleaned up version. Like we have a super messy branch right now, and we're going to build a new branch based on the current master or main branch it is, and then just like merge this soonish. Even though it won't have any new styling, but at least we get the iframe implementation out. And then we will start working on actually getting the full design into the thing. And I'm super excited about this because that unlocks like some new interesting possibilities that we didn't have before, and hopefully also addresses some of the criticism we're getting from some of our leads who are like, your emails look like super boring and I want prettier emails and more styling. And why can I just not drag and drop stuff around? And yeah, it would be nice to finally address those and hopefully build a powerful tool for people to build pretty emails.
He says with joy.
He says with joy. Yeah, I mean,
it's a pretty email.
Pretty, yeah.
There will make some pretty emails.
Yeah, internally, the project is called Pretty Emails because that's usually the language that people use when they're like requesting this. But I want to send pretty emails, not just boring emails like your default ones. Well, yeah. Anyways,
that's interesting.
That's where we are right now.
In the no-code world, there is often iframes involved. So that is one of the ways you can embed code in Framer also, and in other tools. And then we often get the why doesn't the Google, you can like add a reCAPTCHA from Google to your forms, and it's like, well, when it's in an iframe, it's not on the domain that you see in the in your browser. Like that's never gonna work. And like when they put it in, they don't know that it's going to be an iframe even. So that like if they Google or they AI or whatever, like it doesn't really use that language. It's just like, oh, embed code, and you paste it in somewhere, and then it doesn't work because it's all on its own little island with no connection to anything else. There's no bridges.
Yep. Turns out there are bridges, but you have to dig deep for them.
And I think you kind of have to build the bridge, right? In a way, like.
Nah, like if it's on the same domain, there's you can basically do anything. Well, as I said, like the events don't travel automatically, but you can modify. Like you have full access to the DOM inside, so that's actually pretty nice.
From the outside in, right?
But not from the outside in, and even from the inside out, you can do that as well.
Oh, interesting. Huh? I didn't know that. I thought that was kind of the point that they were going to be isolated from. Okay, but if it's the same domain, then they allow more things.
Yeah, exactly. It's on the same domain, then it's fine. Then you can still access from the inside out. But there's a sandbox attribute on the iframe that I didn't know about. But you can, if you put that one in, you can basically choose what to allow or what to disallow from inside the iframe. And I guess for us, we're just going to not allow anything because in theory, you could like call JavaScript from inside the iframe and modify stuff outside of the iframe. But we don't want that, right?
Nope. And I think, in the no code world, you don't get to choose how your iframe is rendered.
Probably not, yeah.
And I also would think that often they are on a different URL. Like you paste in the
Most
code,
likely,
and they might be on an internal URL, and then you put it on your custom domain. I don't think that embedded iframe is going to be served on your custom domain usually, but that would be interesting to kind of like have a little peek and see how they do this.
Yeah, like I've been peeking a lot of like editors lately, trying to figure out what they do.
Have you seen others use the iframe approach? Is that how you kind of got the ID, or did you have the ID and then you don't see anybody else using it? Or
it feels like the iframe approach. Well, depends a little bit. I think you can get away with not using the iframe, but then you lose a little bit of flexibility and of what you allow inside. And the iframe, I think the iframe approach is the only way where you can like allow fully custom stuff inside, right? And I'm not sure how much of custom stuff we will allow in the future, but we decided to get it as close as possible to allowing as much as possible. So that's what we settled on. What I also noticed with one of the tools out there that they use completely different rendering methods than compared to the final email, which also feels like double work and also like extra work to keep it consistent, right? Like if your editor doesn't use any tables and stuff like that for the layouting, but the emails do, it feels like it's going to be a headache to come up with styling that works for both consistently. But maybe they know something that I have yet to figure out. So let's see.
Okay. Interesting.
Exciting times.
And it's gonna be interesting to follow and see what you land on. And
for sure.
Still happy with the choices in a couple of weeks.
This was one of the projects where initially was like, I don't whatever, I don't want to. But it's getting into area where there's interesting challenges and interesting opportunities, so it becomes exciting again. So yeah, let's see.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. If you don't have anything else,
I'm gonna go lay down on the couch again. And
sounds lovely.
But I'll see you around the interwebs.
See you. Bye.
Bye bye.